Hi guys, it's Kim, and I went shopping yesterday and got all this stuff. Stick around and see what I got, and the good and the bad, and where we're going with this. Right after this. And welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Hi, I was out shopping yesterday and bought some things. Now, there's good and there's bad in this shopping video. First of all, I want to tell you this came from Joann's. This came from Joann's because, as I've said before, I've got no quilting stores anywhere close to me. It's at least 30 minutes to a quilting store, one direction or another. And by the time I make that trip, I'm spending at least 2 to 3 hours away from home. So it's not something that I really do regularly unless I'm looking for something specific. And it just happened to be that I was in the area where Joann's is yesterday, and so I stopped in and used a gift card that I had left over from quite some time ago. And I was looking for some fabrics for some projects for 2024. And I want to take you a little bit through my thought process before we go over what I got. And we'll have a little bit of information about one project that we will be doing after the first of the year, and one project for right now we're not going to be able to do. Okay, so let's start with the bad news first. My plan was to start out 2024 with a project that we did one video a month on, kind of like a block of the month. And I was going to do one of the quilts in the Vintage Christmas book. So I thought about that, and if you're going to do this, I think to do it and really do it the right way, you need to have fabrics that are at least somewhat similar to the fabrics used in the pictures in the book. And what I found was I couldn't find anything anywhere close in Joann's. So then I said, okay, let's do just maybe one block and just repeat that block. And let's see if I can find the one I picked. It was a green and red block. Here it is. This is what I was going to do, this one. So it's one block, and you just repeat it for however many times depending on what size you wanted it. So I'm looking at, where was this? Page 40. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was page 41. Sorry. And look at there, I've got a marker. It was this pattern here with the green and the red. It's pretty simple. It's a lot of repetitive stuff. It's a great project to do videos on because you introduce a concept, you sew that concept, you sew another concept, you sew it together, right? And then once you got that block together, you just repeat the block to get the bulk of your quilt, and then you add in some kind of decorative element to finish it off. But again, I could not find any fabric that went together and it was in the same type of color family and design element. I checked in the Christmas fabrics. I checked in the Quilter Showcase. There was another group of fabrics that was on sale. I checked in those. I just couldn't. I could find a red, but I couldn't find a green. And then I could find a green, but I couldn't find a red. Or it would have some element in the fabric design that I just didn't care for. This is happy and cheerful. It's got a It's red, but it's got some pink overtones. It's green, but it's got a little bit of blue in it. And it's got the little berries and the holly fabric, and it's just perfect. But I couldn't find it. So I'm putting that on hold for right now. And maybe we can get into that at some later point in the year. Who knows? Then I decided we needed another project. So I did find something here in my older book, and this is going to be a little wall hanging. I'm not intending for it to be a larger quilt. However, if I get started and really like the way it looks, like how it goes together, then it could be a candidate to be something bigger. But I just finished a blue quilt, and this is another blue quilt. So I'm thinking it's going to be small, just something to feature a technique and learn something more. I believe this book is out of print. You might want to check. It's called Leisure Arts Presents the Encyclopedia of Classic Quilt Patterns. It's a great book. It's got lots of very beautiful quilts. This to me looked very winterish, so it looks like a good project to be working on in the cold months because it kind of gives you that feeling, right? And it's really a two-color quilt, but it does have variations in the color. Now, I love blue. I love all shades of blue. So this one says for a full-size quilt, which is 89 by 103, that's almost a queen-size quilt. It's definitely a full-size quilt, I think. For that, you need 10 yards of muslin. I want to check when this book was printed. This book was printed in 2001, so it's quite old. I don't think if you saw one today, you'd necessarily see that you needed 10.5 yards of muslin. They'd probably just say 10.5 yards of your background fabric, right? Because they don't want to kind of box you into that. So we're going to need a background fabric. And then it asks for 20 dark blueprints, 6 inches by 14 inches, and 20 light and medium blueprints, 3/8 of a yard. So what I did was I got some fat quarters, and my intention is to make probably 4 of the blocks initially. So I got a selection of a navy, a dark blue with a pattern, another dark blue with a little bit more of a pattern to kind of brighten it up. I got 2 of these kind of as a medium fabric, and then I got 1 light fabric. And then how we use those in those 4 blocks, I don't know yet, but that's what we're going to be using. And what else did it call for? Binding fabric, backing fabric. Now, I don't know how much fabric this is really going to use because we're really condensing it down. And if you notice in this quilt, it's got a whole lot of little half square triangles along the edges. I probably won't be doing that because I feel about that about the way I feel about flying geese, which is a thumbs down. I just don't care for those. It does give you a technique in here to make a lot of these half square triangles that I think is the most interesting thing about this, and that's what we're going to focus on for this one. So that's going to be our first project for 2024. It's going to be small. The block sizes are 15 by 15, so it's going to be about 30 by 30 plus any kind of border we chose to add. And we might do 2 borders. I'm kind of thinking that might work well with a little white border and then a little tiny blue border and then another white border and then the binding. I'd like for it to fit here so we can show it on some of our videos, but we'll just kind of see how that comes together and adjust accordingly. If you would like to sew along with me, that's great. I think that most everything in here I will be able to share with you in a manner that if you are unable to locate this book, will be okay. So that's a little bit about the good and the bad, right? And we always have the option of doing something with the the vintage Christmas later. Onto the shopping trip. This is not a sponsored post. This is just my shopping trip. This, look at this. It's ridiculous, isn't it? First of all, let's talk about the sales. They had a sale going where you bought 3 threads, and I'm missing one. I think I dropped it along the way. But you bought 3, you got 3 free. You buy 3, you get 3 free. Whoops. First of all, my warning to you. If you're going to do this thread deal, and you, like I, like this Americana thread, buy the Americana thread separately. Because when you buy it together, you buy the expensive threads, and then you get the 3 inexpensive threads for free. That's what happened to me yesterday. Don't be me. That's my PSA for the day. What else did I buy? I bought all these fat quarters. I bought 7 fat quarters. They were marked down from $2.99 to $1.99, and then there was some discounts applied because of the amount that I purchased. So they ended up being about $1.50, $1.55 each. So these are going to be for the snowflake quilt that we're working on. I also bought, oh, there's my other thread. See, I also bought, when I was unable to locate the fabric for the Christmas, I decided I needed something else, at least to be thinking about what I want to do. I've got a great idea for this quilt. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I need to kind of think about it and develop some type of pattern to go with it. But I bought this cute as a button fabric here. It's a black background. I think it's black. Let's check it against black. Yeah, I think it's black. It's just not quite as dense as maybe that one was. But it's a black background, and it has a little printed bee distributed all through it. And then, of course, the bee has white wings and a yellow and black striped body. And to go along with that, I have this white fabric, and I have this yellow and this fat quarter. Now, these 2 fabrics came off of their sale. And let's see if I can figure out on this really long. Okay, the bees and blooms normally is $5.99 a yard, and this was from the sale rack. $2.99 was the sale price, and then there was a discount applied for the amount that I purchased. I also bought the end of bolts, so I got a little bit more for a tiny fraction more. I think if you buy fabric, you are accustomed and familiar with that. The yellow fabric was the same. It was marked down to $2.99, and I have 1 yard of it. I have, of the bees, about 2.5 yards. So I've got a good bit of fabric. I'll give you a little hint at what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of making a quilt using the black fabric as the background fabric. And I'll leave it at that for now. So this is a project that I'm going to be working on, and hopefully we'll see that, if not the January time frame, maybe the February time frame. And then I bought white fabric, which is one of the favorite things that I do. I bought 6 yards of this white fabric, and it is normally $6.99. It is a So Classic line of fabric. It's an inexpensive fabric that I find holds up well. It sews well. I have got no complaints about it. They used to have one that was called Country Classic that I liked as well. It had a little bit more of a finish on it that felt and looked like flannel just a little bit, a little furriness to its finish. This one I've not noticed that it has that, but it doesn't snag or pill very badly, and it doesn't ravel very badly. So this one I use a lot of, and usually if I buy more than 4 or 5 yards, I'll try to pick a bolt that's there that I can buy the whole amount, and then I get them to give me the cardboard support, so I will know what's on this bolt when I go into my stash 6 months from now. Love that. I also mark it with how much is here and then keep track of that just as an inventory. So when I'm thinking about doing something, I can go in there and say, well, I've got 4 yards of this, and I've got 2 yards of this, and I've got 6 yards of this, and this could be the winner, right? So that allows me. Now, all in all, I was fairly happy with my shopping trip. I will tell you this was in my bag, and they're having a big Black Friday sale, and this video will probably go up Black Friday, so I'm going to mention it. And they're going to, the sale runs, actually the sale is running now through the Saturday afterwards, so I missed this, but as a public service to you, I'll mention it. There are coupons on here that we're going to have amounts off of total amounts, and they're going to have beyond Black Friday, I guess that's the following week, 20% off total purchase, 20% off total purchase, and those are online and in-store coupons. So if you're going to do a big purchase, maybe that's the time to go. I've been in there on Black Friday because they used to have batting on sale Black Friday, and I would go and buy a lot of batting. I bought one time the rest of a bolt of batting as well, and I still have some of that. So it's great, but just be aware of how things are done. Again, this video is not sponsored by anybody, and it's not an endorsement of anybody. It's just my experience. So there's a little peek into where my money went, and also a little hint about some projects in the future, and then maybe some further projects. This would be a cute little spring project. And I'm always on the lookout for another one. I'm still looking for a project we can do with English paper piecing. So I'm going to have to make a decision on that soon, whether we're using the paper pieces I already have or if I need to order a different shape for our project. Okay, hope you liked this. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. You're not too full, and you will enjoy the holiday season that we're just starting, and it will bring joy to your life. If it doesn't, there's always sewing. So we'll see you next time here at the Shamrock Quilt Studio.